Hello, welcome to Outlaw Bookseller. It's me, Stephen E. Andrews, talking to you yet again on a sunny September morning about all things bookish. And I don't know about you, but there's this strange luminosity appearing everywhere in the room at the moment, which reminds me of a track by Church of Hawkwind from the album Church of Hawkwind called The Phenomenon of Luminosity, which leads me nicely into a quick plug for a great book which came out some time ago um, about Hawkwind, one of my favourite bands. There it is. It's by a guy called Joe Banks. Joe and I corresponded some years ago about Hawkwind via email. He'd seen some of my reviews of their albums online, and I said to him that what was really needed in terms of books about Hawkwind was a sort of cultural approach, and that I'd done some writing myself, which was unpublished, but I wished him the best of luck. And a few years passed, and there it is, Hawkwind Days of the Underground, subtitled Radical Escapism in the Age of Paranoia. Absolutely beautiful book, really, really good, thematic and biographical. If you don't have it, pick it up. If you like rock and roll, it's the thing. If you like science fiction, it's well worth reading. And Joe was really kind. He actually sort of credited me in the acknowledgements, and he referred to my book 100 Must-Read Science Fiction Novels. So thanks, Joe. And if you haven't read it, do. It's a fantastic read. A lot of rock and roll books just, they are what they are. They're usually these biographical things where people say, they did an album, it was great. They did two, it was great. But this is a bit more substantial, which is fantastic. Lovely book from Strange Tractor Press. Pick it up. So that little plug aside, as you can see, we're going for high production values here. You can probably hear all sorts of whirring in the background. This wonderful effect that you're seeing of green stars isn't an optical. It's a real thing. It's actually happening. It's speeding up now. There's a little bit more of it, and it's probably getting louder and louder. So I'll probably just take it down to nothing. There we go. That's nice. So it's just going to spot away and annoy everybody now for the rest of this clip. But this is a story. This is one of the story series. And I want to tell you a story, as Max Bygraves would have said. If you know who Max Bygraves is, you're probably quite lucky, about William Gibson. And particularly about this anthology. It's actually more of a magazine. There are several issues of this. Obviously, it's in trade paperback format called Semiotext. And it was like kind of postmodernist slipstream anthology to come out again, and this is the SF issue. Now this goes way back. I think just take a look at the date. It's quite hard to come by these days. Obviously it's long out of print. This is volume 5, issue 2, the SF issue, from 1989. And the reason I'm covering this today is that it includes a story about William Gibson, which I don't think has been collected at all in any other way. I don't think it's in anything else. It may be in another anthology, but there's only one Gibson collection of short stories, which of course is the magnificent Burning Chrome. There's a UK hardcover first edition there. So this is worth picking up because it has an obscure story in it. And I'm going to go into a little background tale about this and how I encountered Gibson personally through this. We met a few times over the years, so this is one of those stories. So, back when Gibson's second trilogy started to be published, the Bridge Trilogy, this was the first volume of the Bridge Trilogy, Virtual Light. And at the time, I was running a mail order book operation, and I was lucky enough to be invited to the launch for Virtual Light, because Bill was in the UK. And there's my invitation, very shiny, as you can see, a Virtual Light postcard. And it was at the Design Museum in London, and I got Bill to sign that. As you can see, there's his signature there. I'm very big on getting people to sign ephemera for me. Whenever I pick up a book in this house, something falls out of it. And as you see, it's got my name on the invite. So it was me. I didn't steal it from somebody else. And I bought a silver pen specially so that Ben could, Will could sign that for me. And that was on, let's see, Wednesday the 29th of September at the Design Museum in London. And let's see what year this was. I think it was 93. It was 93. I could tell from the signature inside here and the date because Bill Gibson signed and dated this copy for me there. So that's great. So it's a long time ago now. And you can still pick up Virtual Light. It's obviously a printed paperback, great book. And it's still available in hardcover relatively cheaply. And what have I got in here? There's something else in here. There's the press release, also signed by Gibson for Virtual Light. These days, of course, it'll be an email. This is much sexier, isn't it, really? So that's my copy of Virtual Light. So I went on to the Design Museum, and I'd met Bill once before at Worldcon, about 6 years before that, when he delivered a blistering attack, as I found it at the time, on some of the new wave English science fiction writers. He felt that things had got rather staid. Just take a sip of the old Pepsi Max a moment. And he was on a panel with Norma Spinrad, who I was also in awe of. And Spinrad, of course, a very interesting figure from American New Wave SF. And, you know, he was quite a formidable character as well. He's a really nice guy, actually. We had a really good chat. And he does have a reputation of being quite a sort of full-on sort of guy. He lives in Paris. And basically, I found very much that he was rather charming. I talked to him about Christopher Priest and about New Wave SF, but that was when I first met Bill, and he signed a copy of Burning Chrome, which I just bought this copy here, which is a UK first, and this was my first time I met him, as I say. And in this wonderful collection, which you have to read if you want to understand the Neuromancer or Cyberspace or Sprawl trilogy, whatever you want to call it. There are 3 stories from the same universe. There's the marvellous Johnny Mnemonic. I've just noticed I got Bruce Sterling to sign this at one point because he wrote the preface for the book. And basically, Johnny Mnemonic, which is about Johnny, who is Molly Millions' previous boyfriend before Neuromancer. It also has New Rose Hotel, very short story, which is made into a very obscure feature film. I'll talk about that another time, which is, I think you can stream it now. It was never received on UK and Blu-ray or DVD. I've got it. It's a strange one. It's a cracking film though, by Abel Ferrara. And also the titular story, Burning Chrome, which is absolutely fantastic. It was hot the night we burned Chrome. I'd like to have worn a silver t-shirt to get my cyberpunk credibility going, but I don't have one of it. It's just too hot today for that sort of punk stuff, especially if you're a fat old guy like me. So that was what I got Bill to sign for me the first time I met him. And this is relevant because there's a story in here called the Gernsback Continuum, which is a great little story, one of my favourite Gibson stories. It's been very widely anthologized. And while I was talking to Bill at the Design Museum, he signed some other things for me, and he signed my copy of Semiotext SF. I'll just show you the particular story in this, which is a hard one to get. So I don't think there's been anything else. It's called Hippie Hat Brain Parasite. Now, as far as I'm aware, Hippie Hat Brain Parasite has only ever appeared in this, and it is a sequel of kind to the Gernsback Continuum. Now, Bill was quite excited by this because he said to me, do you mind if I run off a moment and photocopy the story, because there's a film producer I want to sell the rights to. And this film producer was a lady called Polly Tapson, and she had a production company with a guy who's, I think his name was Steele, and they were called Tapson Steele Films, I believe. This is a postcard of their film Tomorrow Calling, which is the film version of the Gernsback Continuum. So let's get that clear again. Tomorrow Calling is the film version of the Gernsback Continuum from Burning Chrome, and its sequel is Hippie Hat Brain Parasite from Semiotext SF. So Bill left me talking to Polly and let's see, Tim Leandro, who was her director, and he was there as well. And it's a great little film. Shortly after that event, it was shown on Channel 4, and I managed to tape it. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. And it's a really good little adaptation. It's very short. There's lots of British actors, Colin Salmon, Toy Walker, Don Henderson, who's marvellous, Sarah Stockbridge, and it's 11 minutes long. And again, being obsessive, I got Gibson to sign that for me as well. So that lives inside my copy of Burning Chrome. So if you want to check out Tomorrow Calling, do. So Bill came back with the photocopy of Hippie Hat Brains Parasite from my copy of Semiotext and passed it on to Polly. I don't know what happened. I presume that they didn't buy it. If they did, it was never made. It's not as good a story, if I'm quite honest, as the Gernsback Continuum. It contains some of the same characters. It's worth reading, worth checking out. If you're a Gibson fanatic, try and find it. I don't think Gibson's written much short work after Burning Chrome, because of course his novels have been so successful, and I do pride myself on being a bit of a Gibson nut, but I'm not one of these people who tries to be a completist, but I think I actually am. I don't have his book of essays, which I should pick up at some point. So that's a little story there about how I managed to get to rub shoulders with the cyberpunk guy. He's always very nice. I met him 5 times. I do like to try and keep a distance from authors and retain my objectivity, but he is one of the greats. So if you ever see Semitext SF, pick it up. And that also goes to show what you can do a bit of with collecting ephemera. Look out for Tomorrow Calling, see if you can find it. It's absolutely great. And as I say, I'll give you one more flash of how things used to be back in the day when you got invited to a book launch. And these are probably pretty uncommon. Quite a few people there. I mean, there's a lot of liggers. You go to these things, and what you want to be there's lots of your hardcore fans. Of course, lots of book trade insiders, so people who were there from publishing company. But it was a very memorable night. Great night in London, which is a very Gibsonian location. London pops up in Mona Lisa Overdrive in the peripheral, and it was a night I'll always remember because of that story. And check those things out. It's good to talk to you. The stars, the luminosity is still here. This is not an optical, as I say. It's an in-camera thing that we're doing. High production values as always. And have a great day. And if you've not read any William Gibson, shame on you. Come on.